that phone up.
Welcome back to our program. My co-host Jerry Chu and I are here with Jim Sayer.
The past 2 minutes.
And we have Bradley Van Dussen and Chuck Slavin. And we're talking about the film industry, the entertainment industry in general. And welcome back to our program. Again, we are going to open our phone banks for everybody in the area because we know a lot of people want to call in. We know a lot of young people are watching this program. And I want you to call in too. Our phone number is, Jim?
708-3280.
Okay, 617-708-3280. And we're right here on channel 23, Comcast, and RCN 83. So if you're watching those channels tonight, we want to hear. Jerry and I want to hear from you. Now, what we're going to talk about tonight on the second half of our program is about politics, about the entertainment industry, and all sorts of things. Jerry, we've covered a few things so far that I think a lot of our audience might find interesting. And a lot of people are sitting out there saying, you know, I'd love to be an actor, and I'd love to do this, and I'd love to be in films, television, and do all sorts of things. But there's a part of the acting world that we don't always see. Right, Jim?
A lot of stuff we don't see.
And you're involved with that a little bit.
The SAG, Screen Actors Guild.
What is that exactly?
Well, the Screen Actors Guild is what the union's about, which I've been getting involved in a lot lately. And I think people, a lot more than myself and other people, when you go on a set, they always ask questions. And the typical question is, do we have, when you work nights, do we have the nights differential pay? You know, from 8 to 1 is 10%, and from 1 to 6 is 20%. People should know this stuff.
See, Jerry, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
People don't really know about it.
Right, they should know this stuff. If you're in the union, you should someday pick up the book. You can get a free book if you call up the Screen Actors Guild in California. We'll send you a free book, which I did, and start learning some of the basics. You don't have to know everything, but the basics you should know. Nobody should come to the set and say, what am I going to get paid? How many hours I got to work between double time and stuff like that.
Right.
Simple stuff.
Right, and one thing that a lot of people know, we're all union here, so we all understand it. But for the people that don't understand it, people that speak in films belong to one union, the Screen Actors Guild. People who are on television, not necessarily cable television. Cable television is divorced from American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. You don't have to have that designation if you have a television show on cable. But for people on broadcast television, usually are AFTRA members and they're SAG members. So when you see things about SAG and AFTRA and union, non-union, it means that actors generally belong to a group, a guild, if you will, that goes back hundreds of years pretty much, not necessarily the Screen Actors Guild, but a union in general. And they stick together to make sure that there's equality.
Right.
And people are treated
fairly and equally.
Right. And that's the part, because Jerry and I get questions like that all the time on the show. Hey, Jerry, what's Jerry, what's SAG mean? What's AFTRA mean? Well, it's the union.
That's right. And hopefully everyone wants to join. Hopefully they can. Sometimes it's tough to get the 3 vouchers to join SAG, but AFTRA is not so tough.
You can just apply for that.
Apply and pay the dues and stuff, and you can get in. But I don't understand why a lot of people don't do that. I see them, and I
money, probably.
Well, it is. It's important.
So expensive.
Right, it is expensive, but I don't see, you got to make that money back within a month or 2.
Of course, because the rates are pretty much...
And you make it back.
Right.
And that's what I think a lot of people should look into, is joining this SAG. Or, I know it's tough to get the 3 vouchers, but AFTRA is not.
Well, I know Bradley and Chuck here, you've been involved in a lot of productions, so definitely... you had to probably, and I had to be union too. It was a situation where I was told that you're a must join because I've done so many projects. I just suspect the same as with you.
No, sure. Yeah, I was fortunate and blessed to, when I started doing this, I landed a commercial, Screen Actors Guild umbrella or whatever. I was under the Screen Actors Guild, and I did it and got paid very nicely, and then never heard anything. Got another commercial as a non-union person, and did the commercial, got paid very nicely. Then they said, you now have to join. I said, join what? SAG. I go, what's SAG? And they said, Screen Actors Guild. And they said, if you want to do another commercial, you have to join the union. So I just kind of said, okay, these commercials paid well, so I'll join. So I joined and been since 1992 in the Screen Actors Guild because I had to, I must join. And that was back, those are the old rules. And the new rules are, all you have to be is an extra in a movie and get 3 vouchers paid as a SAG member, and then you can join Screen Actors Guild. But kind of in the old days, it was you had to prove that you had to actually act before you could get your card. Now you can get his background. It could be bad or good, depending on how you look at it.
But a lot of people enjoy doing background anyway. Even in Boston, people don't necessarily want to be in the industry full-time, and it's very difficult to be in the industry full-time. You have to really be in an area where there's full-time filmmaking and television, and not everybody has the opportunity to be around that all the time. So it's a good experience for people, and sometimes it's just an experience where people say, well, it's not what I wanted, but at least they have an opportunity to try it out. But for the most part, people enjoy people who do background work. They want to do something more, but they enjoy going down and being the background and getting to know people, the networking, and hopefully somebody will throw them a line. You know, that's what we're all hoping for.
But also, I've been involved in productions where the background has been crucial to a scene. I mean, I've seen it in independent stuff. I mean,
Could you imagine Titanic? Although that was done with pretty much models and computer photography. But what about Titanic? If you didn't have the background people, it wouldn't be effective.
Right, and I think that also too, you know, sometimes the background actors are working harder than the actors.
Well, you know, I wanted to bring that out. I wanted to bring that out because I was going to say something, it left my mind, and I said, Chuck brought it back. But you know what? I think we're going to get a call coming in. And Jerry, I wanted you to get something in before we get this call. You going to say something?
Well, I agree. You know, where everybody's in the same. We're doing the same job basically. And believe it or not, some productions really take background seriously. They really, some really can't pick and choose what they want in the background.
Mm-hmm. Sure, you can't have a production without background.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just standing there with nothing in the back.
Just think about it.
You have to have it.
Okay, there's someone on the phone, John.
Jerry, who do you think this might be? Who's on the phone now?
John, this is Pat Moran calling.
Pat calls the show sometimes. Pat, you have a
I
question?
want to tell you that you're doing an excellent job. One question I want to ask you, I've been watching every single night for the St. Patrick's Day Parade and the breakfast. It's not on TV. I don't know why.
See something about every day.
It's not on at night.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I can answer that. I think that's more of a technical question. It's about the programs being repeated.
Yeah.
And the St. Patrick's, you wanted to see the St. Patrick's Day Parade. The St. Patrick's Day Parade was actually carried by Comcast.
I
and
thought
was shown regionally. It was shown not just in this area. Comcast, BNN TV is under the Comcast system, but Comcast is all over. Although this program, when it's live, it's seen in Boston, and it's seen in other areas after. But right now, everybody in Boston who has cable access has an opportunity to watch us. And Jerry, we hope that they're doing that right now, this very moment. But this woman is asking about shows that will be repeated. This program that you're watching now is repeated. It'll be repeated once more.
I know. I called once before, and all I got was the answer thing and said, this is a repeated show.
That's a good question. The reason being is a lot of the shows are repeated, they're not live, and as a result, the person that's on the phone cannot, on the show, cannot answer them at the time. And that's what happens with, and I'm glad you asked that question because that's going to be something else that we can talk about. When you do television, when you do film, when you do radio, your work is there forever. And when we do cable, a lot of people watch these shows, get a chance to learn what's going on in the industry, they watch it and, you know.
You get ideas from it.
After. But thank you very much for giving us a call.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
But your work, you're a filmmaker. Your work is there forever. There was a person that was sat in the very same place that Chuck is sitting in now last month, and we viewed a film, we screened a film, as did everybody that was watching the program, and that film is here forever.
I think these guys have a lot to offer. Chuck, I think he's a great networking guy, and a lot of people are watching the show, they want to know how. He also has a networking shindig, whatever you call it.
Shindig, yeah.
And
talk about that.
it's very popular. It's a great networking thing to go to if they want to learn more, but maybe you could talk more about that and when's your next shindig.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, well, I love to party. Just call me. Call me.
Hey, you know, I'm glad you said that because
Somebody's calling for the shindig.
Somebody's calling and they want to. It's Quincy somewhere, but and that's the power of networking. I knew that, just from overhearing somebody saying, oh, that, you know, Chuck does this thing in Quincy, and that must be what it
Yeah.
was.
What kind of people attend the shindig?
And by party, you meant punch and soda, right?
Yeah.
And networking, right?